What's up, contractors? I asked in Common Sense Contracting, what things stop you from getting reviews for every project after you finish? We got a ton of good feedback from everybody, but right away, two big obstacles emerged. That's one, people felt guilty about asking for reviews, and the second is, people got ghosted when they asked for reviews. So this is like contractors, they did absolutely everything right. The homeowner said, oh yeah, I'm gonna leave that review. Don't even sweat it, I'm gonna leave that review. Then Larry, guess what? They get home, nobody ever leaves a review. Here's my promise for you and my ask out of you. My promise for you is that by the end of this lesson, you will have the systems, processes, and mindset to fix these two problems for good. We went through and looked at a lot of our contractors who are doing the right stuff, and we kind of compiled it into a single system that you can follow, and really, truly, like, we're gonna get rid of these problems. So that is my promise for you by the end of this training. Now my ask out of you is that you make the most out of this training. You can see I have my notes here because I do not want to miss anything for this. We have taken quite a bit of effort to make sure this works for you guys. And so my ask out of you is that you get paper and pen and make the most out of this. The last video I did like this for the 10 Facebook posts, we had somebody comment they watched it 3 different times, took notes, and was still getting more and more. I fully intend for that to be the case with this training as well. So make the most out of it, and that will benefit us both. The thing is, reviews are increasingly more and more important for your business for a couple of reasons. Reviews have always been helpful for like an online referral, basically is what it is. Like as you're doing word of mouth, that's kind of how a lot of contractors start out. Reviews kind of replicate that for you in the online world. And as buyers are shopping online more, it is becoming more and more important to have these reviews. It is also putting you, quite literally putting you in front of more people. For a while now, Google has been looking at your quantity of reviews. So some people have been gaming, bribing for reviews, 5-star reviews, that kind of thing. That doesn't really work anymore because now Google is so advanced that they are not only looking at your quantity of your reviews, they're also looking at the quality of reviews. They actually have algorithms that they created to go through and read those and help those rank you in search, okay? So reviews aren't now, so if you aren't taking advantage of that, you do not have as much visibility as the other contractors who are. So it is incredibly important, and these two obstacles can no longer stop you from getting reviews. So that is what this video is all about today. So problem number one, this is a little bit easier of a problem, guilty, feeling guilty about asking for reviews. Kind of the question here is, do you have to feel guilty asking for reviews? Does that just come with the territory? And honestly, what my answer is no, you have to do it in a way where you don't feel guilty about it. Because if you feel guilty asking for reviews, that one, it changes the way that you ask, right? So it's a little bit more of a passive ask. You feel like you're asking more of them than you really deserve to be. And also, if you are trying to get something from the homeowner, they really do sense that. And it comes across in your body language, in your words. There's a way to do it without bugging them. Now, we're going to talk about the practical changes here in a second, but first we got to do the mindset change, right? The mindset change here is, I think when people feel guilty about it, they do not understand the purpose of a 5-star review. Terry in the YouTube comments was talking about it like a participation trophy. That's what everybody kind of thinks of it like. Oh, I did the job for you, I deserve a 5-star review. And he's exactly right. Like, that is not the way this should be at all. The point of your reviews is not to get the 5 stars. It's not to get a 5-star review. The point of you getting reviews is to accurately reflect the hard work, the craftsmanship and care that you give to your customers. So, but we've heard this from contractors that, well, I'm a little bit afraid to ask for a review because I don't think I did my best on the project. That's a fear-based mindset. Really, you should ask for a review either way because the review is going to help you either way. And I promise you that. So if you did a good job, then you'll get the reassurance. But if you didn't do a good job, then you need to know that so you can improve for the next person. So you need to see an honest look at what you could be doing differently and what you could be improving upon. So the reason that you feel guilty about this is because in your head, you do not deserve a 5-star review and you are trying to get something out of the homeowner. You're trying to get a 5-star review for them. The way that we're flipping this is you are not trying to get anything from them. You are trying to give them a 5-star experience and as a result, treat them so well that they have no choice but to give you a 5-star review. That is the way we flip this on them, because it's not about getting something from somebody. If that is your motivation, you are always, 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 always going to feel guilty or scummy, or I guess you could just be a piece of crap, I guess. I don't know if that will go in, but but if you are trying to give a 5-star experience, that's really where the gold is. That's what makes you a luxury contractor and what makes you worthy of the 5-star review. So that's the first obstacle, guilty. That's the mindset change, and we're going to come back to that in a bit as well. The second one is a bit trickier, and this is getting ghosted. So let me walk you through this. The first big difference here is a lot of contractors, when they're talking about reviews, they really only think about the 1 second that they're asking about the review. They're thinking about, okay, so should I be asking in a different way? What words should I use? That is a small part of it, and we'll come back to it. But if we're talking about this 5-star experience that we're giving them, it is really about the entire experience. So that's why we have the timeline here from first contact all the way on to past client. Now, this is going to be something that I'll give you tips along the entire way for, because this is not a single moment, this is an entire experience. So right here on the timeline here, we have first contact, the first time they reach out to you. Then when you get your contract signed, then we have the length of the project reveal. At most, this is kind of when contractors would think normally about the experience and the review. Then, after you do the project reveal with them, then we have an optional spot here for a video testimonial. I'll explain that in a bit. And then the final walkthrough. And that, honestly, is the key to the whole thing. That part's pretty cool. And then we have a couple of dashes here for follow-ups that we'll talk about. So let's just walk through this in chronological order. So starting with the first contact all the way to getting the contract signed. Now, I'm not going to dive into this part too much. We have a video that we actually just put out just on this section of the project right here, and getting somebody from that first contact to contract signed, and exactly how we recommend doing that. So actually, I'll link to it at the end of this video. Okay, so the first point here is when you get the contract signed. If you're following along with the process we recommend, this is either like your design consult, you've already been given some money to go out there and meet them, or it is like the pre-job walkthrough, anything along those lines. So you are either with them in person, or you can set up a follow-up phone call. But the important thing here is that you prep the idea for the review right away. So you'll actually ask for the review a little bit later on this point, but you're going to prep it, and here's exactly what you can say. If we knock this job out of the park for you, would you be kind enough to leave us a review? So this does two things for you. Right at the beginning, you're going ahead and setting up the idea for the review in their mind, so you're already setting the standard for it. If homeowners aren't following your process, then you're following theirs. Now, the second thing is, if you just are signing this contract, chances are they're putting down some money with you right away, usually around 50%. They're looking for a little bit of reassurance from you, and you want to make sure that they feel taken care of. So it normalizes knocking it out of the park, and it also sets you up to be the contractor you should be, right? So now, you, in both your head and in the homeowner's head, you are going to provide a 5-star experience. So not only does that affect this day, but it affects this day, and 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 this day. Every time you show up, now you're going to be thinking in your head, okay, I've already told them this is going to be a 5-star experience. It is a way of keeping yourself accountable to the job. So every day you show up, you are being that 5-star contractor. You're being the person that you want to be. And then we come to the big reveal of the project. If you aren't doing this right now, you should be. And this can look a little bit different for different industries. But what you are going to do is you are going to take the homeowner and you are going to walk them through the project you did with them. You are going to show them all of the amazing things you did. You are going to brag on yourself here, because it probably will feel like bragging, but what you are really doing is showing them that they made the right decision in choosing you. You're going to show them all the different ways you took care of them, all the little attention to detail that you are proud of. And they're going to see that in you. If you are genuinely proud of your work, people love to see that. They love to see a craftsman doing what he loves. So if they can see that in you, that is going to excite them. And what is it? Nobody likes to be sold, but everybody likes to buy. They're finally getting the thing that they paid a lot of money for and have had to wait all this time for. So they are at their peak excitement at this point. Right here, when they are at their peak excitement and most emotionally excited, if you can ask when they are emotional, when people not only buy when they're emotional, they also just act when they're emotional. So if you can get them in this emotional state, and then you hit them with the ask, you say, now, what do you think about it? Did we knock it out of the park for you? And hopefully they're going to say yes. And when they do that, then you'll be like, that's fantastic. Would you be kind enough to leave us a review saying that, so we can provide this transformation for more homeowners, right? And I don't want you to just say those words. I want you to mean these words, because like we were talking about, you're giving them a 5-star experience. Your goal in doing this is to give more and more and more homeowners this 5-star experience, because if they don't go with you, they're going to be going with somebody else. And we can control what we do. We can't control what the other companies do. But we do know if they come to us, it will be a 5-star experience. So I want you to mean that when you say it to them, because if you're just saying words, people kind of, they pick up on that. Okay, and here comes the pivotal moment, right? If you're getting ghosted, it's because you are failing at this part right here. And honestly, the second half of this graph. So there's a few different things here. The next thing you're going to do, if they say yes and they're all on board for the review, what we need to do is we need to make it as easy as possible for them to leave the review, right? They're emotional, but as soon as things start to get a little bit challenging, the emotion dies. So you're going to make it as easy as possible for them. And we've seen this done a couple of different ways. The first, you either have a company iPad, you pull up your reviews page and you hand it to them right then and there, or the second is you text them a link to do on their own device. Now, a couple of caveats to this. Now, you're going to send it to them right then, and you are also going to send them a list of questions as well. If you hand it to them physically, you can also have a printout or send them a list as well. But the point is to guide them through the review, because just like I had to do that video where I talked about the 10 post types, because when you're making a post for Facebook, you want it to be right, but you don't know what to say, and then you think about it for a while, and then you never say anything at all. We're trying to remove that for the homeowners. So what you're going to do is, you're going to ask them 3 questions, okay? And if you're sending them on a text, you're just going to send this with the link as well. You're going to say, first off, what was the problem you had before reaching out to us? What was the problem you were dealing with before? So this goes ahead, and we're setting these up to kind of tell a story for future homeowners. Like we talked about earlier, that Google looks at the quantity of reviews, but also looks at the quality now. This also plays in on that end. So it captures people who are reading them. It gives them a much better feel for who you are than just 5 stars, they were great. But it also helps on SEO as well. Second question is, how is your experience working with us? Don't be afraid to get specific. Okay, so this one is specifically like this, because what you're trying to do is draw out actual experiences from them. They aren't going to say the experience was great. If they can give actual specific examples, then that is going to connect more with future clients as they're reading it. The second thing this does is it also elicits more emotion. Once people are telling stories and they're talking about their memories, they're going to be a lot more conversational than if they're trying to write a professional review. The last thing you're going to ask is, how do you plan to utilize your new blank now, depending on the industry, whether it's a deck, an outdoor living space, a kitchen, whatever it is, how do you plan on utilizing it now? This helps them to kind of dream and also sell future clients on the outcomes, because your outcome isn't the thing you sell, but what they can do with it. So if it's an outdoor living space, it's like, oh, we plan on having barbecues with our grandkids and really just making all kinds of memories with our family for generations. That kind of stuff absolutely sells, and that elicits more emotion. These are all designed to elicit emotion. The problem, they're talking about pain. Like we talk about with sales, you're talking about pain. And then we're talking about the experience. This is how they can make it work. And then you're selling the destination. This is a sales process and a testimonial. So your testimonials are going to sell for you. Now, here's the other thing with it. You're going to do the same thing with a video testimonial. Some people ask, well, how often should I do a video testimonial? And as often as it makes sense. You don't have to do it every single time. Sometimes it's great, but sometimes people don't want to be on camera, and that's all right. Now, a video testimonial is absolutely incredible when it works. Luan is kind of the king of doing this.
Hey, it's your boy Luan coming live to you from Papillion, and here is Mr. Mike Stonebreaker, the baller. What his holiday plan is, and take a look at all his new furniture that he got on this deck.
Beautiful deck. very well made. Luan is the man. You got to go with Deck Bros for your deck. Your next deck, the deck after that, your neighbor's deck, grandma's deck, everybody's deck needs to be done by Deck Bros. This thing is beautiful.
There are just some clients that you're going to get along with better. If you have like that palpable connection where you guys have a really good chemistry and back and forth, bro, you should be taking advantage of that, because if you can document that and show this is how I am with my clients, this is how friendly we are, that is all people want to know. Because the biggest question people have is, am I making the right decision when they're choosing you? If you can show them that they are before they ever even talk to you, your sales calls are going to be so much easier. Now, the final key to all of this is this final walkthrough here. A lot of times the scumminess, the guilt really hits during this point, right, when you're asking them. And it's because you're kind of feeling like, hey, it would be like if the waiter was like, here you go, here's your receipt, give the tip, and then they just stand right there and watch you. It's kind of odd. So what you're going to do to avoid that is you're going to give them the review, either the link or the iPad, however you're doing it, and the script to follow, the questions to answer. And then you're going to say, hey, while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and do my final walkthrough of the project, make sure that we have all of our materials cleaned up, everything's looking in tip-top shape, and kind of do a final checklist. Now, you can also take some photos of the project as well during that time if you haven't. It's just a few things, right? So it eliminates that kind of like, okay, well, he's standing right here, so let me say something that he'll like or that kind of thing. It makes them available to have a more honest review. And the other thing it does is it creates a little bit of pocket of time for them to fill out this review. Another thing is if you ask it them and then you just leave, well, now they are taking up their own time to do it. If you can build in the time for them to do this review before you leave, well, now they aren't wasting time leaving a review. They're killing time leaving a review. I actually almost forgot about this point, so let me talk about this right here. There are great apps for making this work as well, and making this little exchange of the review a little bit easier for you, like Thumbtack, House, Nice Job. These are great tools, and if they work for you, they fit into your process, you should definitely be utilizing them as well. With this caveat, what you don't want to do, you don't want to marginalize your brand equity into a single source. And I mean, I guess if you are going to do that, Google is the one to do, because like we talked about earlier, it increases your visibility. When people are searching for it, they aren't searching on House or Thumbtack nearly as much as they're searching on Google. Those things work as well, but you should just be wary of, am I investing too much into this one ship? Am I putting all my eggs in this one basket rather than spreading it out and making it as easy for people to find as possible? Okay, if you have gotten any value from this so far, I do not feel weird about asking you to go ahead and hit the like button, because what it really does is it helps this video go farther, and it shows us that we're creating content you like. Now, if you for some reason have made it to this point in the video and you don't like the content, go ahead and let me know down in the comments what you wish that I would be doing better, or any sort of points that I could hit on for you. Okay, let's talk about this last little part here. So a lot of times the mistake contractors make is, let's say we nailed everything. We hit all of these steps, we did our final walkthrough, and for whatever reason they just couldn't leave a review. There are a few problems that would still hang people up right at this point. One of the things I've heard is that, like, you know, my client's an older client and they really don't do online reviews, they really don't do all that kind of stuff. Well, first of all, hopefully your process has made it easy enough that even they can do it, because these people still have online banking. They're still online. They still are on their phone and play games. They're still on Facebook. Really, age doesn't have a lot to do with it. But let's say you're talking to somebody who has no email account. They are absolutely no way, you can't get them to leave a review. That's all right. What you can ask them to do is, well, that's quite all right. How about this? Can you write up what would be your review in an email and send that to me? Or honestly, they could do a handwritten note. Anything like that to show that they still had a great experience with you, and then something you can utilize that to post it on social media. This should have made it foolproof. However, I know this is all just on paper, and in actuality, things happen. Maybe you mess something up, or maybe a client gets sick, or whatever happens, life happens. Somebody falls out here. Well, that's why we have these 3 check marks here. This is your follow-up. Really, if you're looking at it in a specific way, this is just the beginning, because now this is the beginning of a past client, somebody who knows, likes, and trusts you so much that they will go out of their way to recommend you. So to nurture this person, you're going to follow up. This kind of changes based on industry, but just to give you a good baseline, what we kind of recommend is 3 days, 3 weeks, and then somewhere around 6 months. Now, like I said, this changes based on the industry, but the thing is, you should be having follow-up with your clients. You should have a warranty on all your services, because if you're doing quality craftsmanship, what can you be doing to actually prove that? You can have a warranty on all of your things. Now, that's going to set you apart from competition, but it's also going to it's going to set the standard for follow-ups afterwards, showing that you're going to take care of them even after the project's over. You just keep nurturing them, and this could either turn into another job from them, or it could turn into a referral. So you're going to follow up with them 3 days out and ask them how everything's going. You're going to do that once again at 3 weeks and 6 months. You're going to ask them, how are you enjoying things so far? Are there any problems I should be aware of? How is this space working for you? You're going to ask them all this. After they tell you all the amazing things about their project, how they're utilizing the space so far, you can go ahead and say this. Great. We would love to highlight you. If I sent you over a link, would you be kind enough to leave us a review answering these 3 questions? And then you're going to go ahead and send them those 3 questions again. Now, you can do this at 3 days, and then again at 3 weeks and 6 months, and if you still don't get a review, you can follow up with them every 6 months, or whatever basis you desire. But the idea here is you continue to follow up until you get the review. One, it makes sure that your clients are taken care of. Okay, so having a preset follow-up sequence makes sure that nobody's being left behind. A couple of weeks back, we went out and visited one of our clients, Chris Treese, and he was telling a story. He did a project for a lady. He did an outdoor living space, and then the door that they had installed had stopped working. So she was having to walk all the way around. Well, it ended up being a very small problem. It was literally, he just had to come on and tighten a couple of bolts, and it was fine then. The thing is, she didn't want to reach out and let him know because she didn't want to bother him. And so when she referred him to someone else, they're like, oh yeah, her project's great, but there is this one problem. So she was living with this problem for months and months and months and months and months because Chris had not reached out to her and asked how everything was. You can avoid that with people by just having a follow-up process in place. So it makes sure that your clients are taken care of. The second thing is, like we talked about, it makes sure you get your review from every single client. If you keep following up, you will get the review. Third thing about this is reviews. Honestly, there's kind of a play here that a review from 1 year ago, 6 months ago, 18 months ago is a lot more powerful than I got this done today. There's a lot of emotion to the side of that, of, oh, I got this done today and this is incredible and we're looking on using it for this, this, and this. But a review that says, I got this done 2 years ago and it's still fantastic quality to this day, that speaks volumes about the quality that you actually provide for people. So if you have a list of past clients right now that you are not utilizing, go ahead and start following up to people. Make it part of your process to do it. And have reasons for reaching out to them as well. You aren't just reaching out for their review, but you're actually wanting to see how their space is working for them. Okay, so that is absolutely everything for you. If you follow this process, you should get a review every single time. If you do not, come back to this video, leave a comment, tell me what your problem is, we will fix it. Okay, so 2 things for you. Now, at the beginning of the video, I talked about this first contact and contract signed. Getting somebody from contacting you to getting the contract signed. So, I'm going to recommend 2 videos for that. The first one is the social media video I'm talking about. This is social media posts that nurture for you and actually move people to sales. The second one is a video with Logan talking about how to sell over the phone and how to do the bidding over the phone. So that is everything. I hope you guys enjoy those 2 videos, and I'll catch you on the next one. Holy crap, I'm tired.